Welcome to Cooking with Launchlet. So today I'm going to show you how to create a recipe that I use dozens of times every single day. Super helpful. I'm just going to give you a short demo of how it works before I talk about it. So I'm here on this page, which is like an album, music on YouTube. I really like this. I want to save it for later. I don't use bookmark managers or whatever. I just kind of copy it into my personal notes. So normally what you might do is you would take the URL from here and then you would copy it, then you would open up your notes app and then you would paste it in there. And what do we have here? We have this URL, which is basically like a bunch of gibberish. I don't know what this is. If I come back to this like a year from now or a month from now, like I'm not going to know what this is. So it'd be nice if instead of just having the URL, I could also have a bit of context, let's say the name of the page. So I've actually created a recipe in Launchlet that gives me a shortcut to do this. So instead of doing that, I'm going to say run the Launchlet, and I'm going to search for my recipe, which is called share page title and URL. So there it is, and then I'm going to hit enter. And now it's copied the title and the URL. So instead of just having that gibberish, I have this, which is the name of the page and the URL. So if the URL is broken for some reason or if it doesn't work, I have the name of the thing so I can at least search for it. So it's useful just to have some extra context. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show how to write this thing from scratch. First, I'm just going to show you the finished product. It's basically this one line of code here. But I'm going to redo the whole thing and just explain how, just kind of give an idea of how Launchlet works and the composer and how to put all this stuff together. Because it's fairly simple, but these different parts together might be kind of a new thing. So let's just clear everything here. I'm going to start from scratch and, or let's even just delete it, whatever. Let's make a new recipe by clicking the button. No magic happening here. Share page URL and title is what we're going to call it. So you can call it whatever you want, but just to keep it very explicit. Link. Okay. So that's going to be the name of the recipe, and we're not going to have a signature for this or arguments. We're just going to go straight to the function body, and we're going to write some stuff in here. Let's start by doing window alert just to see what we're typing, and then after that we'll kind of condense it into more compact code. So window alert, hello. And we're going to hit the run button here and share. And it goes alert, hello. Great. Now we don't want to alert hello, or we're not interested in hello. We're interested in, let's say, the name of the page to start with, and that's called document.title. And now I'm going to run again. I'm going to use the shortcut this time, which is access key R. Just read the guide for the shortcut because it's different on each browser. But basically the shortcut to run, instead of hitting the button, I'm going to use the shortcut and then share and then window alert. The title of the page. The title of this page is called compose. So that's good. And so now we need the link or the URL. And for that, we're going to have to do string concatenation. Different ways to do this in JavaScript. I like to do it like this with the backtick quotation marks because it's kind of like a templating language. So you can just have your, hello, and whoops, we're going to put in $, brace, brace, and in between the braces, we put in our expression. And now run. It goes hello, page title, compose. Great. So we don't need hello. We want the title, and we're going to put in a colon, or if you want a dash. And I like colons. My favorite punctuation mark. I don't know if you have one, but I like the colon. And we're going to make another variable here for an expression. And so we want the page URL, and for that we have to say window.location.href. So now, when we run, we got the page title, a colon, and the link or the URL. So that's great. Now we know what we're trying to, now we know the final text that we're trying to copy, and we just have to put it on the clipboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable for this. Let's call it text, and we're going to take that text and copy it to the clipboard. Now, this part I'm going to maybe explain a little bit slower because there's different things going on, which may not be obvious to someone who's not used the system before. So we're going to start with return. Now, you don't always have to return when you write recipes, but sometimes the technical term is like a promise. If you're doing something that takes time, normally that to let the system know that the thing is done, that thing returns something called a promise, and so you have to return that promise to the system so that it knows it has to wait. So this thing that we're going to do to copy to the clipboard, sometimes it might take a little bit of time. It might even take like 2 milliseconds, but it's something that happens, what we say, asynchronously. So it sort of happens in another, I don't know how to say it, thread or something. So basically we have to tell the system to wait, which means we have to return the result of this function. Don't worry if you don't understand that. Just all you need to know right now is to return. And then the next thing is, how do we access other recipes, either from your own collection here or from the built-in Launchlet commands. So we always start with this.api, and that's sort of our gateway into other recipes. So for example, here, if I made another recipe, and yeah, let's do that. So let's call this alpha, alpha, and we're going to return some text called bravo. So now I've made another recipe with the signature. Okay, this is not a name. A name is something that you'd see when you're typing in over here. But you notice there's no alpha here because there's no name for this command. This alpha is like the signature, which means back in our other context here, we can say this.api.alpha. And let's actually just go back to window alert here. Sort of a tangent, but hopefully this will help explain some things. You have to call alpha as a function. Okay, so this.api.alpha, which is that other recipe, and just run it. And so now what's going to happen is it's going to give you bravo, which is the result of another recipe, but you're calling it through the API. Anyway, so we're going to use that same syntax, but we're going to call a built-in. Okay, so this.api LCH copy to clipboard. Okay, this is a function that takes a string or text and copies it to the clipboard, as it says. So we're going to give it our text from here, and that's it. And so now, if I run this command, it goes and copies the page title and the page URL to the clipboard, and I can go to my notes or wherever, and there it is. The page title is compose, our colon, and the page URL. So again, this is like the new stuff here, or stuff that's kind of different would be like return, because this function returns a promise. Okay. Then you have this.api, which means we're going to access some other recipe that's not this, something that's not inside of this recipe. And LCH copy to clipboard, which is a built-in function that's available in any Launchlet that runs anywhere. And we're going to give it some text. If you want to shorten this, remove the variable, you can just do that, and it's the same thing. So yeah, so that's how we write that one. And again, super useful. I use it all the time when I'm sharing stuff with friends in my messaging apps or copying stuff to my notes. It's really handy to just have that extra context there when you have a URL, so it's not just random gibberish. And yeah, hopefully it was helpful for you. And I'm going to try and do some more recipes to demystify this Launchlet compose system. So see you next time.